So hi everyone, great to be here. Great to see you all. Hi to all the panelists. Happy to see you here again. Great atmosphere, great town. My name is Thomas Sharoni. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Addressable. I'd love to introduce everybody here. Actually, self-introduce, so please go ahead.
Hey everyone, I'm Evgeny, co-founder of Fluence. We're working on decentralized compute platform. We've been focused on virtual servers, CPU instances, now expanding to GPU and AI. Basically building Uber for compute.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael, co-founder and CEO of Zero G Labs. At Zero G, we're building the largest AI layer 1. We just had our TGE, mainnet, and also digital asset treasury launch. So the last 3 weeks have been super intense, and it's nice to actually come down a little bit from that. At Zero G, we basically have all of the infrastructure needed to build whatever you want in AI, but fully on chain. And that creates AI that's transparent, that's verifiable, community-owned, and most of all, safe for mission-critical types of applications. Personal background is I worked for Microsoft, Bain & Company, Bridgewater Associates, and also started a Y Combinator-backed unicorn company before Zero G. So nice to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Jack, Chief Growth Officer at IO.net, and we are one of the largest providers of decentralized compute. And we offer an open network of compute where anyone can sort of program and spin up their own GPU clusters on demand within 2 minutes. And so they're able to do their AI training or inference at a fraction of a cost of centralized providers.
I'm Clark Alexander, Chief AI Officer at Argentum AI, and what we're looking to do is broker compute. So kind of similar to what these guys are doing, slightly different. And a bit about me personally, I'm a mathematician, and I go work where there are hard math problems to be solved for money. That's what I do.
Thank you, guys. One sentence about Addressable. We do user profiling. We take everybody on chain, 1.8 billion wallets, and profile them according to activity on-chain and off-chain for targeted marketing and fraud detection. So let's start with, so we're talking about AI, but actually AI today is such a hyped concept, and so many things are just dreamers talking about dreams, and a lot of things are very practical. So I want to ask each one of you, in this world where 90% of what's called AI agents are just glorified state machines with a chat, where do you see the real practical AI agents that actually work today in production? And what use cases of AI agents are just a dream that will never come true with AI?
I think there is already huge amount of use cases for AI agents, like people using them widely. It's just the main thing to understand is it's a fancy term for essentially using LLM models somewhere in your business automation.
In your production.
Right? Yeah. So and this is essentially you don't even need, like, there are cases where there's not even chat with the LLM. Like LLM is just used to manage some other software, to produce commands and run some other software. Like with chat use cases, you can think of like a support agents, sales agents. This kind of stuff is being used massively, but there's a lot of internal just tool linking, data grabbing, processing, and like people use agents to automate data collection and profiling in like CRM systems. So it's actually a bunch of stuff on the back end or like a back office of businesses.
So what do you think is a dream? Something that will never become an AI agent that people trust?
Well, the biggest dream right now is the agent that can think like a human, right? Like we just see that modern models, they are not as smart, and maybe we will need. Actually, I think Clark will answer this much better than me. But like my naive understanding is that models architecture that we have right now just cannot get to the level of human brain. Like we need some fundamental changes to the architecture itself.
Cool. Maybe I'll go next. We recently published an AI paper that's in a top conference. And basically what we did is we trained AI agents on analyzing screenshots and user behavior as they were using their computer. And effectively, we're able to train AI agents to control your computer. And so you can now talk to an AI agent and say, go open this Word document, write this essay for me, go online, order a pizza, do this booking. And it outperformed all of the state-of-the-art models because we used a kind of decentralized data gathering possibility. So this is the possibility that's in front of us right now, where we can start to automate even like operating system level of things. And so it's a very exciting world to be a part of. And then I'll say for the second question, it becomes a little bit philosophical because in a way you're asking, what is it that what is the role of human beings in an AI-centric world, effectively? And so my fundamental understanding is that AI agents and AI models have been trained on the artifacts that human beings have created over millennia. However, the entire kind of surface area of what human beings can come up with is significantly larger of the artifacts that have been created to date. And so we as human beings have a nervous system that can tap into this like greater consciousness over time. So AI agents, however, will not have a human nervous system anytime soon. And so therefore, I think creative work and coming up with new ideas will still be the domain of human beings, as well as governance and administration and being part of that entire process. And so that's where I think at least short-term, and short-term could be 50 years, 100 years, who knows, human beings will absolutely be necessary as part of that process.
Yeah, I think the summarization of both of the panelists here are like, AI agents today are useful for internal tools, essentially. It's like glorified tools. Yes, do they do things better than what we currently have? Absolutely. I mean, at IO.net, we have built some internal tools to look at, for example, how well our socials compare against the competitor set, like a social listening tool that's specifically built with the context that we need to be able to give us the best insights possible. It identifies gaps that we might want to like try and tap into, maybe on a content side or on the SEO side or whatever it is. And then it helps. We then can use that to basically hand off what is required to a human, say, to be able to create something new, to be able to target those gaps effectively. And then I guess on the second side, like I agree with the philosophical point. I feel like, do you believe that humans are just a complex collection of patterns and we just happen to be, because we're an embodied thing, we just happen to be more performant than an AI agent today? Or do you believe that there's something truly special about being human? And I happen to believe that. And so I believe what AI will be able to bring to us is to be able to bring the right relevant context to you as a human so that you can make the best decisions in the world and to become more creative within the world as an autonomous agent. And I don't believe that we'll get to a point anytime soon or if ever where an AI is truly a human being. And again, that's a philosophical, almost spiritual question, I believe.
I'm going to agree with everyone on the stage, except not at all. Just not going to agree. No. First, let me tell you what we're doing a little bit with AI agents at Argentum, so that we can sort of see what some of the actual use cases are now. Right. In Argentum, what we're looking at is brokering compute. Jack has some jobs he wants to run, and I have some extra idle time, and so he's going to come to me, but the AI agent for us is going to just sort of help broker the auction, right? So also Michael's going to have some extra compute, and Evgeny's going to have some extra compute, and the agent's going to sort of like help run that auction, right? And that's something that AI agents can and are doing, right? That's realistic. That's not BS. Now, Evgeny said earlier, I do have some very strong opinions on what AI agents can and cannot do, but the pipe dream, of course, is AGI, right? I've been doing the tour circuit on a number of different technical panels and saying that there's an energy limit, right? I focus on energy, renewable energy. There's an actual physical barrier to LLMs becoming generally intelligent, right? I could do the math for you, but that would be boring and everyone would go to sleep and go back to their phone. So we won't do that now, but basically, let's say hyperbolic space prevents you from having AGI.
All right, that's an answer. So,
But is that like how we're thinking about agents today? Or is it?
In the context of LLMs.
Yes.
Yes, I don't preclude having some new style of algorithm that thinks differently. I mean, there are a bunch of shops that are actually trying to build up human thought. But right, what we're looking at is human brains using 12 watts versus Microsoft opening a nuclear reactor to power LLMs. I think humans are going to like crush this inefficiency forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Well, let me push a bit back on that. There's a YC company that's building quantum compute AI chipsets, and they think they can actually operationalize this in 3 years. And the throughput speed would be about 10,000 times more than a B200. So with that type of compute, would you actually say that's possible?
I have a lot of opinions about quantum computing. I wrote the seminal paper in quantum finance, and there are some real issues with quantum computing actually going. We don't have the algorithms to actually control these chips yet. Everything's too noisy. So this whole like exponential growth is actually just a super logarithmic growth because of how much error correction we have to do. Again, we're a couple of physical breakthroughs away from that being reality.
Yeah, for them it's purely matrix multiplication. That's all they focus on.
Sweet.
Yeah, so if we're just reducting AI agents to matrix multiplication, it sounds like we're not going to AGI very soon. Even with 10,000x more compute. I have a question for you, Clark, about trading AI agents. AI agents that should make you money. So in the world of crypto and protocols, we see self-trading protocols and self-trading wallets that should make money for you as a user. And these are popping out everywhere now. The agent will trade for you, will make you money, just put the money in and the agent will do the rest. And they call it AI, they call it agents, they call it many hype names. But aren't these just algo traders that work on your machine? Aren't these life hackers that work on your behalf, sometimes against the protocol, against the other users, just to make some profit? That is just using the cracks and the holes that a machine can do, that a human trader cannot do. What do you think about that?
So I lectured in university for 10 years. I lectured mathematics, and anytime someone asked me, "Isn't it just?" I say, "I'm going to stop you right there." Isn't it just that? To be fair, there is a lot of that. You're absolutely right. There is a lot of that in trading, but I've actually worked in stock trading and electricity trading, and crypto trading is not so far off in terms of, it's almost like Forex trading, right? And so if you have a bunch of AI agents, if they're programmed with different rules for trading, then they're going to sort of trade against each other and it's going to come out in the wash. But if they all sort of correlate, then you're going to have like a collapse and there's going to be one major winner and everyone else is going to lose. So, it functions in a lot of ways very much like a market, and we can talk about how markets work like more philosophically, but there is some of this, and then there's some other newer pieces to it as well.
My understanding from the literature too is that most AI agent traders are performing poorly compared to human traders still. So that may be an area where a lot more work and research is necessary.
Why do you think it's like that today?
I'm not going to speculate, but I'm guessing it's part of kind of the training data set and actually coming up with like truly novel ideas, because markets shift all the time and different kind of structural aspects exist in markets. And so if one kind of thing shifts and the AI agents are not smart enough to pick up that particular shift, and human traders can and react much quicker, then I think that creates some of that inefficiency as well.
Yeah. The algo traders will tell you that every day is a new war. When algo trading is industrialized and companies of thousands of people do algo trading, they still have to fight a new war every week or every month because of these patterns. And the surprising part is that AI agents still cannot anticipate the next pattern or try explore. They can exploit a lot of what they know, but it's hard for them still to explore new techniques for new market loopholes.
I want to just give a quote here, right? Go back to Yogi Berra, the famous American baseball player who said all sorts of crazy stuff. Prediction is hard, especially about the future. AI agents have the same problem.
You don't think psychohistory is a thing?
So, Evgeny, I have a question for you. The decentralized computes and the decentralized GPUs that you're building and all the supply network, is one option for people who want to build big GPU networks, and the other option is the centralized clouds like AWS. So the biggest question in this field is what's the best way to persuade a Fortune 500 company to build not only on AWS and Google Cloud, but also on your supply of GPUs that is decentralized?
Yeah, it's always like these companies. First of all, they need some scale. I mean, it depends, right? It depends on the company. Some of them like really wanna try to run the stuff at big scale, so they need tens of thousands of high-end GPUs like H200s. So if you don't have it in a protocol, then you cannot get them as customer, and they can get it from big hyperscalers. And actually now hyperscalers prefer this type of customers. That's why you can see that individual developers like SMB startups actually having issues to get the quota for GPU workload.
No liquidity of GPUs.
Yeah, exactly. Even on given these high prices that you can see on hyperscalers. So if you think of average enterprise that considers decentralized protocols, they care about privacy, security. If they train or run inference on their customers' data, they want to make sure that the stuff is secure. I saw a link, someone posted a link into our team internal Slack about Intel SGX being sort of the new attack on Intel SGX, which is trust execution environment, that if you have access to physical device, you can hack into it. So this is new stuff. I don't know details, but feels like we temporarily cannot much trust to hardware security. But these chips are being used both in centralized hyperscalers and in some decentralized protocols, like where if they have the right hardware setup. But also the one more thing is certification. Like there is several types of security certification that companies get, which is like SOC 2, ISO 27001, and if you are running this decentralized protocol where everyone can bring their resources and earn money, they don't have certification, and it means that also your protocol don't have certification, and then it means that a big enterprise not going to work with you because they're going to work with the company that got these papers, which basically says that they do operate in a way that the data will not be exposed, like or more secure. And obviously they want to pay in fiat. Right now it's getting better. People get more used to stable coins. But fiat payments, certifications are very important things if you want to really onboard enterprises from hyperscalers to decentralized infra, which means that we have to build hybrid systems. Like we can have open protocol, everyone can join, but then you also need to have the company that can accept fiat, that
accountability, someone who's accountable.
Yeah. Someone who blame to, and someone who provide SLA, which is like service level agreement, which means uptime and bunch of other things.
All the things enterprises want when they work in a B2B world.
Yeah, exactly. So like you have to look for, like as a normal company, for those enterprises to work with you. But big community of individual developers, startups, like people who run AI on public data, they don't care about this security and stuff. So they can use individual developers GPUs. So they can use like a small non-certified garage data centers.
Yeah.
So I think it has to be just mixed setup.
And do you see most of the decentralized AI GPU liquidity pools becoming this type of accountable company that mediates all of this supply?
Yeah, sort of. Even in Web2 world, there's a project called Wasp.ai. They've been one of the first big GPU marketplaces, and they started from individual owners of GPUs, data scientists who exchange I don't use my GPU, you can use it today, and so on. And then they sort of, started, they introduced GPU data centers. So they found some partners who have proper setups with good latency and certifications, and then they started serving enterprises, and now it clearly goes to this direction. I think they still have a bunch of demand for individual GPUs, but then bigger companies who pay bigger checks, they want data center setups. And I think Web3 protocols also move similar direction.
Yeah.
If I could add, I think why people should trust decentralized systems over centralized systems more is definitely the staking mechanism on the network as well, right? So you're able to, if a data center is able to, wants to join the network, they can obviously stake value against what they're saying these chips can provide, right? So you can bake into that SLAs, you can bake into that chip performance, you can bake into that whatever you want, and that's then an incentive to make sure that those things run in the same way. And then those incentives, if a device doesn't perform to that, those incentives can be used, say, even to compensate the people that are using it. And I think that to build on your point also, it's like, what is one of the biggest costs for people in AI today? It is the compute costs. And often that is because people are having to basically land grab GPUs in these major hyperscalers because they fear they're going to not be able to get the resources they need. And they're having to block these for 6, 12 months. And often the utilization of those devices is 10, 15%. We know that that's true. Global GPU devices are utilized at that sort of rate. And what makes the decentralized world so powerful with this, like using blockchain, is you're able to basically offer that spare utilized capacity, put it on a network, tokenize it, monetize it, and as a consumer, you're able to basically just pay for what you use. You can spin up a cluster, spin it down, and you pay for what you use, and therefore you can be more flexible, more programmable, and save on costs as well. And I think they're the main things that people want when it comes to compute, really. So, at I/O, for example, we don't really say, we're a decentralized cloud. We basically say, well, we offer you more flexible terms, on demand, and at a cheaper price than the hyperscalers. And that's what I think Fortune companies care about.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I can add just a small thing. So token economics, Jack, I agree. This is not disagree panel, no. Unfortunately. That's a shame. But token economics solves SLA, but it doesn't solve this legacy legal stuff, which is certifications, which every enterprise want if you want to work with them, and that's the biggest problem. So we have to do. It's kind of similar to crypto, which sort of getting big adoption only after getting into real legacy banks who start providing crypto trading for people at scale. So here the same. It's kind of similar. We can get to real massive markets and big enterprises only if we get all things the right way, not like the crypto anarchy, permissionless, open protocols like we wanted to do. We have to
speak their language. We have to speak their language.
Yeah, we have to speak the language.
Are you talking about ISO, GDPR, those types of certificates?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But couldn't the validators have those certificates, and then you just have a delegate to those validators that have them?
I mean, it's not enough. You have to certify the whole chain. So you have to have certified data center. You have to have operator who operates the hardware and data center also gets the certifications. And then your company, which accept money from the enterprise customer, have to get certified. That's the only case where they work with you. Other way, if you don't have certification, they can work directly with operator, or they can work directly with data center. But then what's where is your protocol then? So it's kind of annoying, but that's the fact, and it's very hard to deal with it without those certifications.
I think it's just stages of maturity. I think it's just one of those things that we have to, it's a requirement, and I'm sure everybody will we will come up with a novel solution to that problem, like we have most others. So yes, is decentralized compute in a stage today that can be run? One of the top 50 companies in the world could use. Maybe it's not the right solution today, but I can tell you that most AI startups whether that just be a single person in the garage up to a 100, 200, 500 person company where they want to train models effectively at a cost, a cheap price or in a most effective manner. Like, absolutely, we can solve for that today.
Yeah, so we can summarize, I think, that there are few advantages here. The scalability, the availability to smaller companies, the price, in many places, the unutilized compute, and of course the incentives, how to if the supply is scarce, how do you incentivize the GPU owners to be working for you and not for some other companies? Michael, I have a question for you. And it's more about the data layer, not about the foundational GPU layer. We all know that blockchains are inefficient machines. They compute the same thing thousands of times. Now, in blockchain AI, a lot of times, and a lot of the companies want to put that data on chain so that the training data is provable, there's provenance, there's a lot of control. And my question to Michael, do you think there will be a future where we can actually use blockchains for data, for training data, for autonomous AI data that will be efficient enough? Because as we know in AI, what we discussed earlier, the energy problem, the actual unit economics is so difficult that when we bring in blockchain into the picture and use blockchain data, we just become very inefficient. So what do you think about that and how to make it possible?
It's possible to date, but I wouldn't store data directly on the blockchain itself. So the way we've effectively created a breakthrough kind of data availability layers, we segmented data into data publishing and into data storage lane. And by doing that, you no longer have a data kind of broadcast bottleneck. And so, for example, what most data availability layers do is they take a data blob and then they move it to all of the validators to do the same computation over and over again. But instead, what you can do is you can store the data once on a storage network. You can erasure code it if you need like security and so on. And then you just create a quick proof, and that then gets stored on the blockchain. That's significantly more efficient, and it creates a parallelization so that you can actually, in our case, have about 50 gigabytes per second of throughput per consensus layer. And then you can also horizontally scale the consensus layers to get to infinite scale on the data throughput side. But I don't think it's very smart to store all the data directly on the blockchain itself. That's very highly inefficient.
Thank you. Jack, I'd love to ask you about the feed of AI agents that coming from blockchain. What do you think? What do you think? Where's the governance about the GPUs? Who's controlling the real supply of GPUs in the future economy? Even if we're decentralizing GPUs, aren't the owners of all these decentralized networks, like everybody who's sitting here, will becoming the bottleneck and the actual centralized controllers for the GPUs that they're mediating and pulling together? And is it really governable by more than those entities that are sitting and your companies are actually pooling all those GPUs together? What do you think, Jack?
Well, I think it's a similar quandary that we have in crypto generally today. It's like the over-centralization problem. So I think I think we need to continue to raise awareness that, when you're using one of these major hyperscalers today, you're essentially handing over all your data to the big three, say, and we just blindly trust that, they're going to do all that computation in a secure, safe way, and will not, infringe on that at all. And history tells us that that's just never going to be the case. There will be breaches, there will be people who abuse that position, and so we need to continue to promote the idea that having a distributed, decentralized system, even for the base layer of compute, is a really important thing, so that you can, whether it is distributing your compute over many different devices, many different suppliers, or whatever it is, or just using, just more of a decentralized system in general, so that the power is not held across, grouped together in such a big way. And like I say, I actually think it provides more benefits for people, right? Because as soon as you have a complete diversification of supply, then you have more options, you have more things at your fingertips, more people can participate in the network and be rewarded for it. And so it's just more it can just be more effective for people because, depending on whatever I want to do, whether it's to train a model in, or have inference in certain locations or whatever, it's there at your fingertips. And I think it's a job of all of us here to keep promoting the problems with over-centralization and why, again, it's more of a philosophical point. It's there are big risks involved in handing all that over to a centralized provider. So we need to continue to keep doing that as we're marketing all of our products.
All right, everyone. I want to thank you all for participating today. And thank you for listening. It was a pleasure to chat. And have a wonderful day and rest of the conference.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.